Hello, and thank you so much for joining my Healing Trauma through Journaling workshop. I am Natural Mermaid. For those of you who are new to me, I am the creator and founder of Natural Mermaid, which is a wellness sanctuary. I am a life coach who specializes in trauma recovery. I do somatic therapy, pendulum readings, spiritual readings, as well as sound healing. And I thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I'm super excited. Just the topic of journaling. I've been journaling and writing since I was a child, and it was important for me to do this workshop as it pertains to trauma because I know for me, I was able to process a lot of trauma just by journaling myself through it. And this is before being able to afford a therapist. This is before being able to trust and confiding in people about what I was going through. It was just me and my journal. And I still journal to this day. So I hold this really, truly near and dear to me. I appreciate you for wanting to join me on this journey because with a topic such as trauma, it's very vulnerable. It means that you have to be trusting in order to open up. With journaling, it's very personal. It's people hide their journals. They don't want people to read their journals. Journals are very sacred to us in our lives. So to go on this 3-day workshop and journey with me, I appreciate you and trusting me to give you tips towards the work that you already are doing in journaling, or if you're new to it or you set your journal down for a while, you are now able to be inspired by myself and knowing that you're not alone. There are others who are doing this right along with you in this workshop. So it's extremely exciting. So day one, welcome to day one. Day one is all about reflect and reset. We are reflecting in order for us to be able to reset. Today, I decided to begin this journaling workshop on December 21st. And of course, you will probably watch this replay at a later date, but I still want to tell the backstory so that you know the energy put into this workshop is something very unique. Of course, today, 12/21, is the reset. So it's a perfect day to reflect and reset. It is the Saturn and Jupiter convergence. It's the Saturn and Jupiter conjunction. So, and it is the great reset that the planet is currently facing. And Saturn, of course, is a taskmaster. Saturn is the father figure. Saturn is all about you reap what you sow. Saturn is about karma, and the planet Jupiter is about abundance and your career path and prosperity and good fortune, and being able to prosper. So the two of them coming together. This hasn't happened in 400 years, since the year 1623. So the fact that they're coming together in this way, they're the two biggest planets in the galaxy that we know of, coming together in a masculine and a feminine energy, with one being all about hard work and discipline, and the other one being about good fortune and seeing things through and prosperity. It's a beautiful time for manifestation. It's a beautiful time for journaling. So a lot of good positive energy was put into this workshop. So even if you watch it at a later date, just know that I poured into this with great intentions. So day one, reflect and reset. You want to stop allowing trauma to replay in your mind. The mind is, everything starts with the mind, mind over matter. All is mental. Being able, mental health, being able to take control of your thoughts. It's so important. The mind is the crown chakra. So it's so important to be able to have a peace of mind, to have clarity in your mind, to not allow for your mind to control you. You being able to control your mind by putting positive imagery in there, by putting positive thoughts in there, by speaking life and positivity and greatness into yourself, into your life, and pouring that into your journal as well, because sometimes people um, will only journal the negative things. They'll only journal about their sadness or their bad days or their hurts and their pains, but you want to journal about what it is that the better days you want to see. You want to journal about the goodness that is taking place in your life, even if it is something small. You know, whether it is you saw a beautiful butterfly and you want to give thanks to nature, you were able to, give an extra dollar to someone in need, you journal about that, or you were able to catch a really great deal on something you wanted for a very long time, you know, or you were able to, fill your tank at a less amount somewhere. Just the small things matter. And you don't have to journal about only sadness. You don't have to journal only about something big. And it's so important when it comes to not allowing the trauma to play in your mind to change the narrative. The first action step that was given was to actually be able to look into your own thought pattern. So that in itself is accountability, right? Being able to look into your own thoughts in your own mind and say, okay, these are positive thoughts in my mind, and these are negative thoughts in my mind. And then asking yourself, how did I get to this place? How did I get to this place of these negative thoughts in my mind that don't represent me, that I don't want to be having, and that I don't want to hold claim to? You do that by identifying those trigger points. Where did it happen? Where did it begin? Did it start in childhood? Did it start from abandonment? Did it start from an abusive relationship? Did it happen because you were once bullied? Did it come from insecurities? Whether it was, your body, or relationships, or wanting to keep up with the keep up, whatever it could be. Identifying where it happened and then realizing that you don't have to still carry that. You can only carry your own load. And I tell my clients this all the time: you can only carry your own load. Stop carrying other people's baggage. Stop carrying other people's loads. Leave it at baggage claim. Get rid of it. Give it away. Throw it away. It's not yours to deal with. And only being responsible and accountable for what is up to you to deal with, what's up to you to heal, what's up to you to face, what's up to you to, recover from, or what's up to you to, own up to. That's so very important. So when dealing with those trauma triggers, we then realize some of these things are generational, right? Generational trauma is a huge part of trauma that we know we're not responsible for, because we're not responsible for the things that happened to previous generations, that still have trickled down on us, whether it is, a broken family, or whether it is poverty, whether it is a lack of education, lack of resources, you know, anything that could have been negative or painful. There's so many things that could be named, knowing that, you're not responsible for those things. It just was a domino effect that ended up trickling down to you, and realizing that if trauma can be passed down for generations, then so can healing. I'm going to say that again. If trauma can be passed down for so many generations, then so can healing. You can have healing just as much as you can have trauma. And too often people focus on the trauma and the being down and out and the hurting and the hurt and the pain, that they trauma bond with people. They get addicted to the trauma and they don't know how to have a way out. Well, imagine getting addicted to the healing. Imagine to passing healing down generations. And we actually see that beginning to happen. For an example, I will, speak on the melanated community, seeing these different pages, and communities being started of Black love and supporting Black businesses. That's an example of, wanting to break the cycle and change the narrative of things that once were out of balance. So it's important to know that trauma has been passed down, but it doesn't have to continue to be passed down. You can be the one in your family to break the cycle. You can be the one in your family to pass down healing. You can be the one in your family, to love yourself better, to love your children better, to love your partner better. Um, even just becoming more sure of yourself, being more sure of your purpose and your passions and being brave about it. That's a part of generational healing. So that is how you can be able to change the negative thought patterns, by realizing that just as much as negative thoughts can run your life and run your mind, so can positive thoughts. Just as much as generational trauma can ruin lives and, really just tear people down, generational healing can uplift people and can cover people in abundance of love, and can be able to really allow people to know their purpose and to walk in their purpose and to love themselves harder. So that's so extremely important. Knowing the difference and being brave enough to break the cycle. So for day one, I want you to reflect. I want you to reflect on the growth. Think about the little, they don't have to always be, big moments. 2020 was a difficult year for a lot of people, right? And you may watch this years down the line, and who's to say how things could be at that time. But focus on the growth, look at how far you have come, whether it's mentally, physically, or spiritually. Focus on that growth. Allow yourself to reflect on that, and then reflect on the growth that is to come. Where do you want to go further from here? The highlights. Reflect on the highlights. What were your highlights of 2020? Whether it was, celebrating your birthday, or whether it was a time you got to spend with family, or, whether it was, being able to just, whether you were able to travel, somewhere, or whether you were able to, get a job opportunity, or maybe change careers, whatever it could have been. Or maybe you may have even left a job in order to just better your own mental health. Who knows what it could have been, but focus on the highlights. And then also focus on the L's, the losses, and focus on the disappointments, because we have to be realistic with ourselves, right? We know that everything isn't always going to be love and light. Everything isn't always, life is yin and yang, it's balanced. So as much as we want to focus on the growth and the highlights and the positivity, we also want to, focus on, we want to, not focus, but we want to reflect on, the things that maybe we would have liked to have done differently. The things that maybe we expected something to go this way, it went a different way, and how we felt about that. Reflecting on what you would like to not have happen again. It's an opportunity. A disappointment is always an opportunity for change. It's always an opportunity to be able to say, okay, now I know what to do differently, or it's a learning lesson. You can say, I learned from this, so now I'll do that. So don't be discouraged by that. And you also want to reflect on your decision making, because our decision making is a direct reflection of if our trauma is truly healed or not. If you're making decisions based off of impulse, or based off of it could be out of spite, or it could be resentment, or it could just be repeating negative cycles. You want to hold yourself accountable for that. Or it could be decision making where you don't know how to stand up for yourself, so you're making a decision to appease to someone else. So you want to make sure that your decision making is something that you're comfortable with, you are okay with. It's something that you can deal with. That's important. That's extremely important. And then reset. You want to say, you want to reset and think about, what changes are needed to be made. What is it that I can change? What is it that I want to change? Starting with myself. We have to be the changes that we want to see in the world, correct? So we start with what changes we want for our own selves, what changes we're willing to do, and what changes are needed to be made going into the next chapter of our lives, taking inventory of our life, who needs to stay in our life, who needs to leave our lives, um, who, what energy we're taking in, what energy we're releasing, just what matters and what doesn't. That's extremely important. And reevaluating your vision. Visions change a lot, can happen in a year. So just reevaluating, do you have the same goals that you once did with, whether it is career or success, or whether it's in with the relationship that you have, reevaluating your vision for, what it is that is best for you in your life, making decisions that are best for you in your life, not ones that are just going to make someone else happy, or that's going to just appease someone else, or because you're afraid to hurt anyone, or because you don't want to let anyone down, that you will just you know go ahead and just make a decision based off of someone else's happiness and not your own. So making sure your vision is true to you, and accountability, that ultimately is accountability, holding yourself accountable, not being afraid to hold yourself accountable, and having accountability buddy. This journaling workshop is helpful because you can be able to connect with someone else through journaling, speak to someone else who journals as well, and confide in them when it comes to just encouragement and upliftment, or things that you feel comfortable sharing with each other. And I also want for you to look into the mirror. Give yourself a good mirror time. Get into the mirror and think about, reflect on that action step assignment that was you looking into your own thought patterns. And get into the mirror and go ahead and say, okay, these are the thoughts that I now want to hold on to. And say those positive thoughts and positive affirmations into the mirror. And then get you a sticky note and write down your favorite one on that sticky note and stick it onto the mirror, and allow for that to be your new affirmation that you step out into the world with daily. Allow that to be your daily mantra. Start your day on that positive note, and that will begin to replay in your mind. So then you will be combating the negative thought patterns with this new positive affirmation, this new positive mantra that you are now embedding into your thought pattern cycle, so that you can be able to stop the trauma from replaying, because you ultimately are the one who can press stop. You're the one who can, press eject and take that tape out and put something new in. You know, it's one thing to just press pause. It's another thing to rewind it and to fast forward, but then, you might end up rewinding again. But it's another thing to say, I'm going to press stop, or I'm going to press eject, and I'm going to put something new in there. So you're putting newness into your mental space through these journaling activities. So please do day one in your journaling workbook. Do that assignment for day one, and then do this mirror assignment as well. And then prepare yourself for day two, which is all about manifestation. Which is just, this is it is always a perfect time for manifestation, but it's a great time, especially now. It's a great time, especially now, to just be practicing on that. If you're new to it, practice on manifestation, and journaling is a great way to manifest. Before I close out on day one, I want to show you a couple of my personal journals, just to inspire you with your journaling and your journal collection. This being the first one, which is my Mermaid journal. It's an iridescent mermaid journal. And I love this journal so much. I got this journal a year ago, and I didn't start writing into the journal until, exactly a year later. So it instantly just resonated with me when I saw this journal. It spoke to me, and it was only one there, and I'm like, wow, this is meant for me to get. And I wanted to wait for the perfect time to write into this journal, which is why I waited. Um, the second journal is this journal, and it says, "Every thought creates your future." And it has a bookmark in it, which I like. And I love this journal because one of my favorite colors is pink, and it has, the glitter in it. You can see the grease stains I have all in this journal. I've been writing in this journal so much. But I love that this journal has an affirmation on the cover of it. So when I see this journal and it says, "Every thought creates your future," I instantly say, okay, what thoughts am I having right now? Is it in alignment with me putting energy into here? And then I will make sure that I do a self check to make sure that I'm in alignment with what I'm about to write into this journal. So it's a great, accountability. It's instant accountability. And I love that beautiful affirmation because I make sure that I am reminded of my thought patterns especially when I'm writing into this journal. The next one is this, and it says, "Empowered women empower women." And I got this journal from a client. A client mailed this journal to me in my P.O. box, and I was super excited. I was super happy. I was super grateful. On the first page, she wrote a sweet note in it for me. And little did I know I would go on to start writing my book in this journal, where I really talk about my own, traumas that I had to overcome and what really led me through a path of being a trauma recovery life coach. And, I just dig deep into just my own different things that I've gone through in my own life. And that really, it dawned on me once she mailed me this Empower Women journal. So, if someone gifts you a journal, and you have respect for that person has respect for you, definitely write in that journal because it carries a very beautiful energy in it. And lastly, for the ones that I'm going to share, is this journal. It's just a composition notebook with butterflies. Butterflies being one of my spirit animals. I instantly resonated with this. Purple, one of my favorite colors. I love butterflies, and I got this one at Dollar Tree. So you don't have to spend a lot on journals. You can start your journal journey just going to, Dollar Tree and getting a composition notebook, or finding, a composition notebook there that you like. Or, you can go other places, of course, too. But I'm just saying, you don't have to feel as though it has to cost a whole lot to begin your journaling journey, especially if you're new to journaling, or if you set your journal down for a moment and you're ready to pick it back up. Just know that you have many different options as far as being able to just write again without feeling overwhelmed about it. It's really just about writing, getting back to writing, not putting too much, pressure on yourself, not being hard on yourself, and knowing that, you're doing this ultimately for you. It's all about you bettering yourself, uplifting yourself, changing the narrative for yourself in your life. And you can accomplish so much with journaling. And I know that I have with my own personal story, which I am working on my book. But my own personal story, long story short, is, there was a time where it was literally just me and my journal writing, because I wasn't completely comfortable or trusting to open up to people about things that I have gone through. And at the time, I couldn't afford a therapist, so it was really just me and my journal. I was in my journal trying to just process it all, trying to just release it all, just pouring, my all into my journals. And then I met a mentor who became a close friend, and she had so much on her plate that she really reminded me by saying, just journal it all out, because she wasn't able to give me at that time what it was that I was expecting of her. She had things that she had to do. Um, and it's so important knowing that you can always go back to your journal is your a direct reflection of yourself. So going back to your journal is going back to 0 point. It's going back to you. It's going back to yourself. It's going within. Um, and so just in doing so, it just was so extremely helpful. And, then came therapy, of course, which I highly recommend for people. And, that is what inspired me to go on to be a life coach. Just so much that I experienced in my personal life, and the beginning stages of just healing trauma for me on a budget was through journaling, and I still journal to this day. So I definitely am, all about, um, what the benefits of it, and wanting to be able to just inspire and encourage and share others. So I thank you so much for joining me on day one of Reflect and Reset. Make sure that you reflect, allow yourself to reset. Do day one in the workbook assignment. Get into the mirror and say the positive affirmations. Write your favorite ones in your journal. Write your favorite one on a sticky note and stick it on your journal. And until next time, I will see you tomorrow for day two. I thank you so much for watching, for listening, for having an open mind, and for being present. I love you all. See you later. Bye.